The quiet nights of the Central Valley came with a rhythm. Crickets, distant traffic, the hum of a refrigerator. It was a predictable soundscape. Safe. But in the summer of 1976, something new entered the silence. A screen door carefully pried open. The subtle creak of a floorboard that shouldn't have moved. A presence in the dark, where no one should be. It began there, in those manicured suburbs east of the capital. Homes chosen for their single-story design, their sliding glass doors, their proximity to open fields and creek beds. A perfect geometry for escape. The first few were simple burglaries. Small items taken. Drawers rifled through, but the intruder left things behind, too. A single dish moved, a window left unlocked. These were not just break-ins, they were rehearsals. He was learning the layouts of homes, the habits of the people inside. He was testing the boundaries, seeing how far he could push before anyone noticed. The police called him the Visalia Ransacker, then the Hysteria Rapist. The names changed, but the method remained chillingly consistent. He was a phantom who knew your home better than you did. The attacks escalated. He no longer just watched. He waited inside. A man and woman sleeping, suddenly awakened by a flashlight beam in their eyes. A quiet, controlled voice giving orders. He used shoelaces, torn from their own closets, to bind them. He would separate them, taking the woman to another room. The men were forced to lie face down, a stack of dishes placed on their backs. He told them, if he heard the dishes rattle, he would kill everyone. For hours, they would lie there, listening to the muffled sounds from the other room, the sound of their lives being dismantled. The only sound they could make was the sound of their own breathing. The terror he created was architectural. He turned homes, places of sanctuary, into prisons. He used their own belongings against them. Telephones were ripped from the wall, or their cords cut. He would eat food from their refrigerators, drink their beer, all while they were tied up just rooms away. It was an act of profound violation, a message that no lock, no alarm, could ever truly keep him out. He wasn't just invading a house, he was colonizing a life, leaving a psychological ruin that would last long after the physical evidence was gone. The fear spread faster than a wildfire. People bought guns. They installed new locks. They slept in shifts. But how do you stop a ghost who was Brasson? After an attack, he would sometimes call his victims. Days, weeks, even years later, the phone would ring, and on the other end, there was only heavy, menacing breathing, or a whispered threat, a reminder that he was still out there. He was watching. He knew their new addresses. He knew their new phone numbers. The calls were a form of psychological torture, extending the horror indefinitely. He wasn't just a predator. It was a curator of fear, meticulously maintaining the dread he had instilled. The community was living inside his story, and he was the only one who knew how it would end. Then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, the attacks in the north stopped. For 2 years, there was silence. People dared to hope it was over. But the pattern hadn't ended. It had just moved. Down the coast, in Southern California, a new series of crimes began. The method was different now, more violent. The bindings were still there, the control, the quiet voice in the dark. But now, the attacks ended in murder. He used a fireplace log, a piece of lumber from a nearby construction site, whatever was at hand. The escalation was terrifying and absolute. He became 2 separate nightmares, haunting 2 different parts of the state. In the north, they remembered the rapist. In the south, they feared the killer. For years, no one connected the two. They were seen as distinct monsters, born of different darknesses. The files grew thicker, the maps on the precinct walls filled with pins. But the man himself remained a shadow, a collection of contradictory descriptions, a voice, a glint of light on a knife, the scent of stale sweat. He was a composite of 1,000 fears, but he had no face. His letters and poems sent to the media were taunts, crude drawings, rambling prose, a map of the next attack, a challenge to the police. "I'm going to hit again," he wrote. "Watch me." It was the work of a performer, an artist whose medium was human suffering. He wanted the credit. He wanted his terror to be acknowledged, to be given a name. He was crafting his own legend, one victim at a time, ensuring that his work would not be forgotten. The entire state was his audience, held captive by his unpredictable and brutal narrative. Decades passed. The files were boxed up, moved to cold storage. The detectives who worked the case retired, haunted by the one that got away. The children who had heard the stories grew up, had children of their own. The creek beds where he had hidden were paved over. The world changed, but the silence he left behind remained. A quiet, humming dread that settled over entire neighborhoods. The cases went cold, but the fear never did. It was a ghost story that was all too real, a wound that never properly healed. It seemed the story would end there, with a question mark, a monster who simply vanished back into the night. Then, technology caught up. A thread, a single piece of genetic material left at a crime scene 40 years earlier, was all it took. Science gave the ghost a name. It gave him a face. He wasn't a phantom lurking in the shadows. He was a man hiding in plain sight. A neighbor, a father, a former police officer. He had lived a quiet, unremarkable life, while the state he terrorized held its breath. The monster was just a man, which was, perhaps, the most terrifying revelation of all. He had been there the whole time, mowing his lawn, going to the grocery store, sleeping peacefully at night. The horror does not end with a conviction. It does not end when the cell door closes. It mutates. It lingers in the quiet suburban streets that look just like the ones he stalked. It's in the flicker of a porch light, the rustle of leaves in the dark, the sudden, unexplained sound from another room. It's the chilling knowledge that the placid surface of everyday life can be a mask. The story is never truly over. It just finds new homes to settle in, new minds to haunt. It waits, patiently, in the silence between one breath and the next.